3, 2, 1, go.
The next woman I'm going to be talking about here just briefly is Hagar, the servant of Abraham and Sarah. Now, we all know of his story. We all know of his messed up story. Because it's pretty messed up what happens and how Hagar is treated. We read in Genesis 16 and verse number 1. It says, "Now Sarai, Abram's wife, had borne him no children, but she had an Egyptian maidservant named Hagar. So she said to Abram, 'The Lord has kept me from having children. Go sleep with my maidservant. Perhaps I can build a family through her.'" Now, this word, we all know, you know what that means. This is kind of comical to me. I heard a pastor over at the River Church over last summer as they were going through Genesis on their online Genesis series at the River Church.
Genesis what? Where? What? Still lived up there.
I heard a pastor at the River Church over here in Waterford as they were going through Genesis, and he was in this chapter, and he's like, and Abram was just like, okay. And it even says that in the Bible that Abram agreed to this crazy, messed up plan to have a child with Hagar. And we know of his story that Hagar did in fact have a son, and his name was Ishmael. And what's comical is Sarah got upset at Hagar, but this had happened, and which it was all Sarah's idea anyway, so I don't know why she had this idea and it worked, and she was able to kind of start this family through her, which is what she just said in the verse we just read. And then she gets upset and she blames it on Abram. In verse 5 it says, "Sarai said to Abram, 'You are responsible for wrong I am suffering. I put my servant in your arms, and now that she is pregnant, she despises me. But may the Lord judge between you and me.'" So basically she was saying, look what you did. And if I was Abraham or Abram, they're the same person, but if I was him, I would have been like, "Woman, what are you talking about? This was your idea. Why are you getting mad at me when it was your idea?" It's just comical to me. And then in verse 6, he kind of gives his answer to Sarah, kind of just puts it down on the line and says, "This is how it is." And he says, "Your servant is in your hands," Abram said. Do with her whatever you think best." Abram was pretty much telling Sarai, "Woman, I don't care what you do. Take care of it yourself. She's your servant." And we all know that Sarai mistreated Hagar to the point where Hagar ran away. But in verse 7, the angel of the Lord found Hagar near a spring in the desert. It was a spring that is beside the road to Shur. And he said, "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you gone from, and where are you going?" She replied, "I'm running away from my mistress Sarai," she answered. Then the angel of the Lord told her, "Go back to your mistress and submit to her." The angel added, I will so increase your descendants that they will be too numerous to count." The angel of the Lord also said to her in verse 11, "You are now with child. You shall have a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery." And skipping down to verse 13, it says, "She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me, for she said, I have now seen the one who sees me." So Hagar, obviously got upset that Sarah was mistreating her. I know it's a crazy story. I'm not saying Sarah was a bad woman. I'm not. I think there's a lot we can learn about Sarah. We talked, Chippy and Bam Bam and Toodles and Yang talked about Sarah in a devotional a couple weeks back. Because even our Tuesday devotionals have had some women in it, kind of just overlying this theme as we try to get as many as we can. So I'm not saying Sarah was a bad woman. I don't think she was. She just had a bad idea, and this bad idea went the way she wanted it to, and it worked. And she got upset that it worked, and so she mistreated Hagar. And Hagar went back, or Hagar was going to run away. I don't blame Hagar for running to run away. When you're in that kind of situation where you're getting just in a bad type of environment, you got to get out. I don't blame her. But she went back. She saw. She had this encounter with God, and she didn't go back because she knew things would be different. She knew that Sarah was ticked, and Sarah was out to get her, and Sarah was going to mistreat her. But she went back because God told her to, and she knew that she was seen, and she knew that she was known. And friends, let me tell you, God knows who you are. I mean, that's what she says in Genesis 16:13. She gave his name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me, for she said, I have now seen the one who sees me. Friend, God knows who you are. He knows what's going on in your life, even in the midst of this pandemic crisis. You are not forgotten. Hagar was a nobody. She was a servant. She wasn't looked up upon in society. She was a servant girl. A quote-unquote nobody. But God still knew who she was. That kind of ties into our Who Are You series. God knows who you are. So just like Hagar, we can rejoice in the fact that we are known by the God who created the universe, and He loves you. And He's going to take care of you. I mean, He took care of Hagar. He told her that her descendants would be numerous and outnumber the stars. So the God who sees you is the God who knows everything that's going on in your life, and that is something to rejoice in.